Hey, Matt. You had Tavon Austin in with the Rams for a little bit, and what is the potential for what you could do with him? And then if you get Tyler Ervin to get together, the two of them, what are the potential things you can do there?
Well, it's been a while since I've been with Tavon, but somebody that I've always held in high regard. He's very explosive. I love the way he works and just the energy he brings all the time. So, but we got to get him kind of acclimated to what we're doing and how we call things. So there's a little bit of a difference between what, some of the stuff that we call things here and what we did when we were together in LA. And certainly he's had a couple stops since then. So we'll just see where he's at and kind of evaluate it and take it day by day. But somebody that we're very excited about being in the building.
Rob Domofsky.
Hey, Matt, you got me?
Got you, Rob.
Hey, so the other day after the game when you said Aaron's playing, as good as you've ever seen anybody play, how does a guy do that at age 37? I mean, I'm not saying it's super old, but it's old-ish.
I mean, you're talking about one of the all-time greats, regardless of position. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he's doing it, and he's doing it consistently, day in, day out, and just, helping us win a lot of games. So we're fortunate again to have a guy of that caliber, and he's the guy that he makes everybody around him better. And you can see it every time he steps out on that field.
Ed with SI.com in Philadelphia.
Hey, hi, Matt. Carson Wentz and the offense from the Eagles played a pretty complete game last year when they went to Lambeau. A different team. Carson has struggled. A lot of reasons given for it. What do you see when you look now at this Eagles offense and in particular Carson Wentz?
Well, I see that a team that's had a lot of adversity. They've had a lot of injuries. That's always hard on a quarterback when you have a bunch of new people in there and it's not consistent. I think they've started like 10 different combinations up front. Obviously, Ertz being out has really hurt him. Not having all his weapons out at wide receivers really hurt him. So, I take that with a grain of salt. I know they're getting healthier and guys are coming back into play, and so I'm sure we're going to see the best version of the Philadelphia offense. There's no doubt about it. Carson's a guy that I've unfortunately had to go up against a few times now, and he is a great competitor. I think he's a great quarterback, and you sometimes take your lumps in this game, but I still think he's an elite level talent.
Tim Van Born.
Good afternoon, Matt. The other night, Aaron Rodgers seemed to have multiple examples of his vision on certain pass plays. Is that innate? Is that experience? Can that be coached? And how would you describe his vision?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's certainly – you always try to coach in terms of what a quarterback's progression is and where he puts his eyes. But there's certain things that he does that it is very, very hard to coach, and certain little subtleties that he sees that nobody else sees. And it's interesting sometimes when you're watching the tape and you're like, how the heck do you see that? And it's always interesting to hear his responses to those certain situations, and that's why part of the reason why he is who he is because he has just got such a great feel for the game, for the position, and just seems to always, make great decisions.
Steve McGargy.
Thank you for doing this. I'm just wondering, Preston seemed to have one of his better games of the season the other day. Just from tape, what did you see different in him, and how much you kind of hope this might be a springboard for the rest of the year for him?
Yeah, he definitely did, Steve. He played really well. He was one of our players of the game, and it wasn't just because he got a sack or a scoop and score. There was a lot of little things he did where he just showed that physicality, showed great effort, did his responsibility. And that's all we're asking for all these guys is, hey, play as hard as you can every play, do your responsibility, and hopefully, I think more than likely when you are doing that, good things are going to happen to you, and that's exactly what transpired on Sunday night.
Martin Frank with the News Journal.
Hey, Matt. I wanted to ask you about Darnell Savage, who's local for us. Obviously, he's coming off the 2-interception game against the Bears. But what have you seen from him, like as far as his progression from year 1 to year 2? And it seems like the last 4 or 5 games he's really, stepped it up quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I think one thing that comes with experience is you just have better eye discipline. I think it's always a fine line when you get a guy that's as athletic and can cover the field like he can. He wants to make a play. And typically, I'd say for most players, if you try to force that play, it doesn't always work out that way. You got to let the game come to you. And I was really proud of his effort and just allowing those plays to come to him. And when he got the opportunities, he cashed in on them.
Bill Huber.
Hey, man, I want to go back to Rob's question about Rodgers from a few minutes ago. How much work was it to get to this point, or maybe it wasn't at all? But it was a different scheme. He's playing a lot differently. He just looks like not a totally different guy, but he's a vastly changed player since you've arrived.
Yeah, that's a credit to him and just the way he goes about his business, and certainly. I think any time, and you see it with I would say the majority of experienced quarterbacks that have spent a long time in a certain system, there's a transition period. There always is. And, I know he's worked really hard at it, and he always does every day. And I think you're just seeing him become more and more comfortable with what it is we're trying to get done on offense. And he's excelling.
Mark Daniels.
Matt, you got me okay?
Gotcha, Mark.
I want to get back to the motion aspect of the offense. You're using it plenty when Tyler was there and then hurt for a month, and now you've got 2 of those guys who could probably do this. Did you have to adjust in any way, or do you feel it was as effective with Aaron running jet sweep action, or your wide receivers and the adaptability that those guys provided you? Is it the same as it would have been with an Urban or maybe with an Austin moving forward?
Well, I think anytime as a coach, there's some variables and circumstances that come up throughout the course of a season, and you better be ready to adjust. So we've always are trying to find different ways to get guys involved and how we can use certain players. I think in regards to the jet motion stuff that you're talking about with Swerve, I think that's really something that, as long as you give the ball to whoever it is you're running that with, the threat of that is real. So, certainly I think Swerve excels at it, but I think we've got other guys that are more than capable at doing it as well. So that's just something that we're going to keep working through, whether he's available or not. And we're going to try to find the best ways to how to attack a defense. And some weeks the jet motion isn't quite as effective as others. So, but that's always something we're always trying to look and find and dig at different ways to try to take advantage of a defense and attack them in certain ways. And sometimes it's with jet motion. Sometimes it's with, Y motion. It could be just a standard cross the ball motion. And sometimes it might not be any motion at all.
Wes Hodkowitz.
Hey, Matt. Excuse me. With John Runyan, it's one thing for a rookie offensive lineman to play well right away. It's kind of another thing, though, to do it coming off the bench cold. What do you think has sort of enabled him, or what is it about him that has allowed him to, have success for you guys in sort of that spot role this season?
Well, I think you find out a lot about guys when you get in the heat of the battle. Certainly this game is not too big for him. And that's one thing I think you're always kind of unsure about when you get young guys and you put them into the mix. Do they get the deer in headlights look, or do they just not flinch and not blink and just go about their business? And that's what he's been able to do, and that's a credit to him. And certainly he's played big time football before, coming from Michigan, and that's one of the things you love about him. And certainly he's been around the game for a really long time with his dad, but he's just able to transfer what he does in practice onto the game field.
Paul with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Yeah, Matt, the Eagles have made some fairly significant changes to their defense since you saw them played against them last year. They added Slay and Hargrave. They let Malcolm Jenkins walk. They're playing a lot more man coverage because of the fact that they've got Slay on the top wide receiver. What's been your impressions of their defense this year under Jim?
Well, I've gone against Jim a few times now, and I'll tell you what, there's an identity there, and that is you are going to play against a very fast and physical defense, and that same thing shows up regardless of what coverage or front or whatever they may be doing. That's his trademark, is they are going to play fast. They're going to know what to do. There's not a whole lot of mistakes made on that defense, and I think this is one of the most physical and fast defenses we'll play this year. I think they're playing at a really high level. I know they're one of the tops in the league on third down and in the red zone. And, it's going to be a great challenge for us. It's a hard penetrating front. We know that that's where it starts with his defense. And certainly there's a lot of great players up front. Like you just mentioned, I mean, you got Cox and Ingram and Hargrave and, Sweat, Barnett. I mean, there's a lot of great players, Malik Jackson, where it starts up front for them, and they're able to come off the ball, get a lot of penetration, disrupt the quarterback. I think they're second in sacks in the league right now. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. We know we have our work cut out for us, and we're going to have a great week of preparation.
Jason Wilde.
Hey, Matt, going back to Steve's question about Preston, what kind of approach did you and Mike Patton and Mike Smith take with him last week? And is that unusual where a veteran player maybe needs his coaching staff to get after him a little bit to get him going?
I don't necessarily think so. I don't think it's anything we said or did or, certainly I know the competitive situation was with Rashawn in terms of trying to get Rashawn some more snaps that he's earned as well. Bottom line is, to me, I think the more you can rotate those guys up front, the more fresh you can keep them, the harder they can go for 4 quarters. And that's what we're looking for. The more people that we can put in those positions and keep kind of cycling through all the defenders that are playing kind of on the defensive line, even though he's technically an outside backer, the better we're going to be.
Stacey Dales.
Matt, Aaron said after this past game that he likes the subtle simplicities that you implemented that allow him to feel comfortable. I'm wondering if you could please elaborate on that. And just curious, what is the key to defining roles for your players? Because you do a really good job of it.
Well, I appreciate that, Stacey. The subtle simplicity, that's something I think you'd have to ask him. Certainly, there's a lot of input that goes with what we're going to do on offense on a weekly basis. And it starts with Nathaniel Hackett does a great job, has a great understanding of what we want to try to get done. And then it goes to, Luke Getsy and Jason Vrabel and Ben Sermons, and then Justin Outen and Adam Stenovich do a great job of kind of formulating the run plan. And we come together and we put it together, and then we bring it to our quarterback and making sure that he is comfortable with it, because the last thing we want to do, he's got the toughest job of any of us, going out there and directing the offense and kind of being the coach on the field. And then he's got to execute it with 11 guys on defense coming after him on every play. So that, no doubt about it, is the toughest job. And we know that if he's comfortable with what it is that we're trying to get done, then we have a much better chance of having success. If he believes in it, then the other 10 guys in that huddle are going to believe in it. So that he has as much input as anybody on our staff in terms of what it is we're going to try to get done on a weekly basis. And, like I said, he's playing at a really, really high level. And, hopefully we can continue that.
Zach Berman with The Athletic.
Hey, Matt, I think you had Travis Fulgham for 9 days this summer. I don't know how much of that time was spent in COVID protocols, but from that time, what do you recall about Travis and what has he shown you on film in Philly?
Yeah, Travis has done a nice job. He was always, obviously he's got good size and a great catch radius. And he's been able to make plays, contested catches. That's what I've seen on tape. It showed up, I don't know, whenever they played the Niners, it definitely showed up in that game, and it's continued on throughout the course of the season. So, I'm happy for Travis. I just hope he doesn't take his revenge out on us on Sunday.
Ryan Wood.
Hey, Matt, going back to how comfortable Aaron has been in the offense this year, he's a guy that obviously loves his play extensions. More than one coach this season, opposing coach this season, has talked about how much quicker he's getting rid of the football. Did you have to go back with him after the end of the season, have a conversation about, this can be a big part of your game, but maybe in moderation? Or do you think that how much quicker his release has been is just a byproduct of being more comfortable, seeing the offense, seeing the pieces better in year 2 than year 1?
Yeah, I would say it's probably more the latter in terms of just his comfortability and knowing exactly what it is we're trying to attack. And then, I think he's done such a great job because of taking what's there, but also understanding what it is, when he has enough time to create and extend, because you saw it the other night on the third down touchdown pass to Devontae when Chicago rushed 3 defenders. I mean, there was nothing there open in rhythm, and that's usually what happens when you drop 8 into coverage, but it's a credit to the offensive line of giving him basically all day to throw, and then just the poise that he has, that you cannot coach that. There's nothing to you just can't coach it. I don't know how any other way to explain it, but the poise to sit there and let it to develop, and those wideouts working for him, and then he throws one up to Devontae and Tay goes up and makes the play. So I think it's just a fine line in terms of, getting the ball out quickly. Certainly when the play's designed for a certain thing and it's open in rhythm, then yeah, that's great if you can get it out in rhythm. But he just has such a great feel. I really think it comes back down to feel of when he can hold on to something and allow, the off schedule to take place, and when he has to potentially get the ball down to a check down.
Aaron Nagler.
Coach, I want to go back to something you mentioned regarding Jim's defense and their identity and what you see on tape. Last year, they came into your building, and there were a number of questionable shots, late, high. One knocked out Jamal Williams for that game. Do you have to give maybe extra focus to that aspect this week with your guys, just to let them know what's coming?
Oh, yeah. Our guys are well aware that it's going to be a battle, a 4-quarter battle. This defense, no matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstance they're faced, they play hard. And our guys know that, and they'll be ready for that.
Bill Rabier. We can't hear him. All right, we'll go on. EJ with the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Matt. Paul mentioned earlier that the Eagles have run a lot more man coverage this year than in years prior. You guys have had a lot of success against man this year, particularly with Aaron and the receivers. What's gone into that success? What's the point to?
I think it's just a credit to our players being able to go out there and execute and win their one-on-ones. And that's what football is all about when you get presented with those man coverage situations, whether it's, an isolation route or you get in stacks, bunches, whatever it may be. You got to beat the man in front of you. And so that's a credit to those guys to be able to go out there and execute that. It's a credit to our offensive line to give our quarterback time, and then, our quarterback to go out there and make the right decision and throw an accurate ball. And I think there's no real secrets to it.
We'll do one more. Tom Silverstein.
Hey, Matt, at the end of the Bears game, there was kind of a dust-up on the, well, you guys were kneeling, and Boyle was trying to not lose a yard. Are you okay with that?
No, that's something that, yeah, we've talked about. That falls squarely on my shoulders. So, we'll do a better job with that moving forward.